class better. And whatever, you know, if you have helpful things that you can help me with understanding what to do to make it more palpable, more understandable for you guys, please make sure to reach out. I have one student who sends me for the in-class videos. It would be nice if I would write down what the question is that was asked, and so she sends me the area in the movie where they sat, so I can go and I don't have to review all the movies and figure out, you know, what that is. So if you have things that come up as you get through the material, please reach out. I'm here to learn. You're here to learn anatomy, and I'm here to learn how to teach this stuff properly to you guys. That's really my job. Because when I went through the school system myself, I had a lot of test anxiety and a lot of learning phobias and things like that. And my job is to minimize that as much as possible. And help you out with. I have a lot of experience with studying now since I've gone through the chiropractic degree. And so also with the flashcards and stuff like that, make sure you bring questions up and hints and things, ideas in the class that we can keep improving on this way of learning, because I think this way of learning is not a bad way of learning. Personally, I think there is a good reason for having in-class learning, but I also think the convenience of being at home and not being in class with every class makes it also much more accessible for many people who may have to work during certain time, you know. Anyway, having said that, any comments to that kind of thought? No. Good. Then let's see. We're at 6:04. Let me get through and check on the roll a little bit. And while I do that, for this chapter that we're working on today, the skull, are there any specific questions that any of you have? Did any of you guys get my text about the YouTube video that we discussed on Monday's class?
I just got it right before class started. Okay,
yeah, I was a little bit slower than I wanted to be. I looked into that and I really liked it a lot. It's a, you know, it's a little lengthy. It was a 30-minute video on the skull, but the person doing it is more like a student doing it, not a teacher doing it. And he seemed really clear of how, you know, often when the teacher's doing it, it's like we've done it so many times, it's like we might miss some way of explaining it that makes it easier for the students. And it seems like that person doing that video was really cool about that. So I would definitely check it out as we get through this second section, because this second section, you know, is more. Let me share the screen with you guys for a moment, if I can find it. Can you see my, oh, that's not what I wanted you to see. Oh, it doesn't matter, actually. That's just an email from one of your classmates. You see my screen?
Yes.
You see my modules stuff?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we're now, the thing works a little slower. So we're now down past test one. Now we're going for skull, facial muscles, axial joints, skeletons, and then some muscle stuff. And then we take our second test. And the second test is very different from the first test. The second test is me pointing out pictures to you. Let me show you for a moment. Actually, I'm making a video on this one. Am I making a video? Yeah, I'm making a video. Let me go through a preview on the test, because this is very different. This is labeling. So actually what you need to do while I'm doing this, I made to make sure you have your term list number 1 in front of you. So while I'm doing this and while this is loading up, make sure you have that terminus, because that's what we're really working on right now. Let me find that for you guys. I have a thing here. All right. But once you open your test on this test, the questions will look like that. So the questions will be like a name your landmark or name your bone kind of thing. And then I show it with a label on it, although it's not fully necessary, but that's from the old time when I'm in class. And then I have a video with it that I did, like, 15 seconds or so, that I show the thing.
All right, the first question is a landmark that is between the superciliary arches.
And then you can see it on a video that I'm pointing it out. And I have, I have a video, external video link here in case there's a difficulty with visualizing that. Sometimes with certain browsers, it's not that easy. So I think Google Chrome is one that works well with the videos. So, but I also give you like how many hours? 4 hours for the whole exam to do. So, that way you have plenty of time to not worry about the time being a problem case. And then what you do is down here, you write down your answer into the empty box. You have to type it. And you do that by copying any term from the term list number 1 on this test. Anything that I ask you is on this term list. So then you look for the term and you copy it, and you try not to have too many spelling errors, just to be nice to me, because that, then I have to grade less in the background. But, if you have spelling errors, it's not a big deal. But you copy that term into that space there, and you type it up, and then that goes into the box. And in the background, I have as many spelling ways and, capitalized, non-capitalized, and maybe a few misspellings that are very common. I put those in as well, that the program recognizes it. And then at the end of the test, you get, it shows you how many scores you have. But then I have to go in the background and make sure I take all the ones out that the program didn't recognize as a right answer. So I've learned to understand with some of these quizzes, with some of these tests, make sure you don't freak out when it says, like, you have somebody is not on mute. Thank you.
Somebody is not on mute.
Go mute. There you go. So don't freak out if you get like 35 out of 50 or whatever. When I take my class test, the lab test, the first one, I got 5 out of 10 right. And then you have to go back in the grading. And I should know that stuff. So, be patient with yourself about that. I just wanted you to understand the system. You might have the answers right, and it doesn't recognize it as right in the system. So that's how the second test works. And so the way we study the second test is when we go into actually this place again here. I should have just stayed there. And let me make this different so I can. So there's 55, blah, 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 blah. And then I submit the quiz. And we're okay. Go away. All right. Sorry about that. Not quite. On top of it. Okay, there we go. Hey, this is a new computer. It shouldn't be so slow, but it's a little bit slow. Let me take roll while we're doing that. While the program is not getting that fast. Okay, on roll. Let me just take roll. If you could say hello, I'm here, something like that. Give me a live sign, Sarah.
Hello.
Hello, Tanaya.
Here.
Nida. Nida. Jordan.
I'm sorry,
Jordan?
Benita's here.
Okay, got it.
Jordan's
Koa?
here.
Okay, good. Koa,
Here.
Nelia,
Here.
Kayla May,
Here.
Caitlin,
Here.
Vanry, Adam. Okay, got you, Vanry. Adam,
Here.
good. Who else? Brianna,
Here.
and then I have Even,
I'm here.
Veronique.
I'm
Hello. Super, I got you. Veronique.
Bernie's here.
Okay, and I'm missing Alexis,
Here.
Abril,
Here.
Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I think I got you guys on. So let me hope my computer has updated where I was trying to go. I guess I'm asking way too much. It's not reloading the page. So anyway, where I was going, oh, there we go. Where I was going is at the modules, where it's the test module down here, test 2. In the FII section, it's not the test, but in there, what you have is you have a bunch of videos that basically go through all the terms on the term list. And I mean, there might be a couple off because look, see in there, I was still skinny. So these were a few years ago. But so most of them are in there, maybe 1 or 2 are off, but that's a good way of just getting right to the point of what I want from you in the second test. Because all you have to do is label these muscles and label these bones and these landmarks in the bones that are on the term list. And then this is a term list link if you need the term list again, but you have a copy of that. And then this link here is kind of cool because what I did is when I was making the test up, I also just took pictures of the modules, and that link goes to this. Oh, wait. To this thing here, to this document that shows you all sort of pictures pictures of the models that I use during the test. The videos are the same. The videos are also the models that I use during the test. And doing this test, I have pictures of models. I do not have pictures of, like the homework is kind of pictures that are drawn down there. Okay, that makes sense?
Sounds good.
Okay, yeah, good. Some feedback is good. So I talked about the YouTube link that I sent you that I think is awesome. I'm also trying to figure out, one of my students on Monday is really sharp. In another class, they have a way of doing study groups on Zoom, and the teacher has a 24/7 Zoom link open. And I'm trying to learn how to do that. I think I have to get in touch with her and figure out if I can get in touch with that teacher. I haven't found it on Zoom yet. So if anybody knows how to do that, that'd be great. But I thought that was fantastic because then this material lends itself well to having a few people together, just get together and study, ask each other some questions or share some screen of some of these pictures that I'm just showing you here, and get yourself prepared, because it's really about quizzing each other and working with these new terms that come at you right now, making sense of them and understanding them. And so, and I send you texts out all the time. So you do have at least your group's text number. And I think I send 2 groups per class. So you should have a fair amount of the numbers. And I can, of course, provide you other students' numbers too, if you'd like to do that. But I think organizing yourself by going onto a Zoom, thing together at some certain times would be great. And you can also feed me in if you'd like and send me a link and say, hey, we got some questions. Can you join us for a little bit? And I think we can hopefully, through that, having Zoom available, make use of that we can just check in real fast. So I'm working on that. Hopefully within the next couple of days, I got that up. And I'm also working on trying to figure out a link for anatomy textbooks. That's not textbook, atlases that came up on Monday as well. if I have good atlases that I recommend, and I do have a couple of good atlases that I do recommend, like the Netter, Frank Netter, or the Gilroy from Team. But what I'm trying to figure out is if I find links that you can get those downloadable without having to buy them.
What's an atlas?
Oh, that's a good question. An atlas is basically a picture book. It's why I like anatomy. I don't have to read that much text. It's basically a picture book of the pictures I have in the booklets are plenty, but sometimes it's nice to have a more extended, really detailed anatomy book that just shows you pictures with all the labels on it. And so instead of what I present you in a skull, I present you with a fair amount of new terms. But when you actually go deeper, you got a whole different layers of terms. You have, for example, a whole bunch of holes that things go through in and out of the skull that I don't really touch on because it just becomes overburdening and over cumbersome. But in an atlas, you will see that, and you can see that visualized, and it's just something that if you're really studying this topic, you get one of those, or if you go to medical school, or even I think nursing as well, we will have one or two of those available to just look up things while they're learning. And so if I can figure out a link that you can get it online for no cost, I think that'd be great. Then you just have it in your computer somewhere. So that's what I'm working on. The other thing that I wanted to briefly touch on before I go into the main portion of the class is you've done the health awareness thing a little bit, the challenge, the health challenge for a couple of weeks, finished last week. How was that for you guys? Any comments or any thoughts or any insights to that exercise?
I think I'm going to continue to do that even with my family, because I actually branched off from the class because I was thinking, I said, oh my gosh, this support is actually pretty cool. Because I forget.
I know, right? That it's a little annoying at times, it can be, but right. I think I really enjoy it myself because it helps me stay on track.
Exactly. So I think I'm going to continue. And, now I have my brother. He actually Zoom calls me every Tuesday and Thursday early in the morning, telling me to get up, like literally prying me out of the bed.
Well, that's nice. That's cool. Yeah, that's totally cool.
It helped a lot, so yeah.
Good. No, I mean, that support helps. And I get some text of like, oh, I start drinking water, my skin's getting better and things like that. So,
right.
I hope you guys pull something out of it. And if something seems a little annoying because who meditates, kind of thing, then just stick with me for the time being. I'm trying to get, oops, I just lost you all. I'm trying to make the class as palpable as possible as real life. I mean, we got anatomy and it's also abstract. It's very interesting. I take this higher level class and it's one extra unit and it's basically the same, more or less the same material, but it's so much more just theoretical. And so I'm trying to, while we can't be in school dissecting eyeballs and things like that and feel the material better that way, I'm trying to have you guys do some exercises. So any other comments to what we did with the lifestyle?
I had a hard time with meditating, and so I'm definitely not going to keep it up, but I switched to stretching, which good. Feels like it's something that I feel like I need to do more than I feel like I should meditate. And so I was like, I'll do the same mentality of like try for 3 weeks and see what happens. But I've done 4 days in a row since I've decided to do that. And so I was like, oh, this is like good. Like it's a good habit to start forming.
Yeah, I do a morning routine because I have a bad back, and it's really a pain in the butt to do it. And the motivation is like, hell no. But I put my yoga mat down and often I just stretch and, get into the body that way. And I use an app called Headspace, and for students, they're like $10 a year. they have a really great plan, and they have, for example, a thing like a thing every morning where they bring some nature videos or something like that, or some comedian has some funny way of explaining something. And when I stretch, I listen to that, and it's it's getting into the body. I think one of the things that happens in college, and it happened with me in college, and also with trauma and things we don't necessarily want to do, like sit down and study and it's like it removes me from my body. It takes me sort of away from my body, and the meditation and mindfulness creation, even the mindful eating, not doing something else while we're eating and just focusing on the food. That's all the same exercise at the end of the day. So that's great. I really appreciate that comment. Anybody else? Well, then, if not, what about the food label thing? How was that?
Oh my gosh, I did not know that white rice had less, or brown rice had less nutrients than white rice. I, for some reason, for the longest time, thought it was the other way around. So it was very resourceful just to, get that information.
Isn't that interesting? How I know when I do it once in a while too, when I give you guys the exercise, and and that's why I realized this semester I started saying, hey, do a fruit or a vegetable too, to kind of see the difference between the thing that's just on the box, because it's it's always there, but we don't pay attention to it because it's interesting, isn't it?
We're so busy trying to eat, and that's what it is.
I know, right? Especially with raising kids and going to school and working and all that stuff. I know a lot of you guys have a whole bunch of stuff on your plate. Anybody else have any feeling about that, Emmanuel?
Yeah, yes. I used to feel that milk contained a lot of proteins until I checked the label. It contained more sugar actually than proteins. I was shocked.
No, it's interesting, right? In the 6th booklet, one of the last, like in the info, I think, I have a nutrition chapter.
Yeah.
And I think, and in that, no, I know I do, I just don't know exactly where it's at. And in that nutrition chapter, yeah, like a little bit before the info, in that nutrition chapter, I show, like, I have a picture of different carbs, but then also proteins, and I have a picture of how much protein does vegetables have, and it kind of blows your mind when you compare. It's like in book 6 on page 44 has the top 10 sources of veggie protein, and it's like broccoli is 45% protein. It's going like, really? Who thought of that?
Yeah, it's very, very surprising. I just checked the label on the milk, and it had more sugar than proteins. And because most times I think it happens, it's also, you can check that in a lot of other foodstuffs too. It's what you really expect is not what you see on the food label.
No, it's interesting to analyze it. There's a very good book by Michael Pollan, Pollen. He is a guy at Berkeley, some professor of, I don't know exactly what. I don't think it's nutrition. I think it's public health or something like that. And he has a booklet called The Food Rules, 50 Food Rules. And in there, he basically has 50 common sense things for us to go by to make good food choices. And one of them, for example, is if you look at the food ingredients and you see names that your grandmother wouldn't have understood, don't buy it. Simple stuff like that, because, and that brings it back to, as you see in doing the analysis, the more processed the food is, the less nutrient rich the food becomes.
Yeah.
The more convenient it is, of course, but Anybody else? Yes.
Can I have a quick question?
Absolutely. All questions are always welcome.
Okay, so by the food label, I mean, like, after I try to like look detail for for every food I eat, so I see like some food they have like the iron in it. So it is good or bad if some food they have iron in it?
No, iron is good, especially, you don't want to eat straight iron. That might become a problem, but iron is a very important mineral. On also in that nutrition chapter, actually, right in the info on page 49, you have a table that shows you the different things that different minerals do for your body. And if you look at iron, if you don't have enough iron in your body, you become what they call anemic. And that is a condition where your body doesn't carry enough oxygen from the outside world into your cells in your body. And oxygen is very important to make energy. It's a very crucial piece of energy. So iron is very good. And if it comes bound to food, if it's supplemented and added on to a cereal or something like that, it might be a little more hard for your body to pick it up, and it's not always as easy for the body to take it in. But if it comes in a vegetable format, in a food bound natural format, then the body can absorb it really well. So it's very important to have iron.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Very good question. Very good question. All right. Well, if there's no other question out there, we're done with having, well, we're going to go to the next section. The next section is this second part. Every class I will hold basically have a sort of a practice quiz where I go through the material that were covered and prepare you for the second test. So I'm not having quizzes that count towards your grade. They are more like practice quizzes where I want to drill you a little bit. So when it comes to the test, you're all prepared about that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So what I need you to do is I need you to have that first term list out, which is the one with all the bones and things that you've been starting to work on, with the skull. And by the way, good work, you guys. You've been turning in skull stuff, and most of you do the coloring as well. I'm very happy and very impressed. Is that work okay for you guys? Or do you have any questions to the homework part?
I have a question.
All right. Go for it.
Oh, no, I was going to say that it's really.
One first. Just start speaking. You're cool.
No, I was going to say it is really helpful having the, I don't know if you labeled it as an atlas to kind of have as a guide, and then you're consecutive with having the photos that we need to label. So it helps stick, with, the material that we need to memorize, or more so just kind of have, handy on our brains.
Okay, good. And have you noticed there's different barcodes for different videos here?
Yes, that's wonderful. Actually, it actually even brings it up when I possibly don't even want to. So, when I kind of just go straight to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, no.
I know. You're going to be so sick of my voice at the end of the semester.
No, it helps. It works. It gets it crammed in your head the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, I started making these YouTube videos like in 07 or 08 when it just started with this stuff, because I was like, what am I going to do with all these students looking at all these things when I try to lecture? Like, I got to put the phone to work. And so that's when I started with them. And the review videos, often the students just hold up the phone and say, can you go through the heart real quick? And so, but we can't do that here right now. But, well, we could try. Was that Tenaya who had some other comment on that?
Yeah, so when I first started labeling the skull, there's, like 4 different views. And so I was labeling, I started labeling it. I was like, okay, I labeled all the things on this view. And then when I was going through, I was like, do I label the same thing I labeled on the other view on this view? And I ended up doing that. But do you want us to label it?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it's useful because, we can't hold the skull and I can't walk around the tables and show it to you right now. And so the more three-dimensionally, the more from different angles you see things, the better. But I'm not mandatorily making you do that. I look for having you label the terms on the list one time. I'm not looking for, I write it in. Don't worry about all the labels that go out on the picture. Just worry about the terms on the list. And yeah, if you label that once, that's sufficient. That gives you the full point value. If you color it as well, if you label it on multiple places, I think that's beneficial for your own study.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. I have a
Emmanuel.
question.
Yes, sir.
It's actually on the postural analysis, the assignment.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. I forgot to tell you guys that that's coming up too, or a few more of those integration assignments. And one of them, Emmanuel is working ahead of the game a little bit, I believe, is the postural assignment. But let's talk briefly about it while you're at it. What's your question about it?
Are we going to submit a picture of ourselves?
Yes. It's about your posture.
Oh yeah. So with the lines too, right?
Yes. So let me just briefly explain to the class, since they might not have seen the whole thing. When we finish up with the bones, we have one handout that says posture analysis. And in there, I want you guys to take some pictures of yourself like I've done on myself. And then analyze your posture by looking at how forward is your head, how high is one of your shoulders, and put it on a thing like that. And then after that, I'm going to go through a couple of exercises that help you mitigate the most common sitting postural problem, which is the head forward and the incaved shoulders that cause a lot of issues for office workers or other type who sit all the time. Oh, who would that be? Oh, that's human beings these days. And so I wanted to put that in to get you a little bit of a tool to work against that, at least to start. And so he was asking if we take a picture of ourselves, and I was like, yes. And so because I want to have you guys analyze your posture. But I will go through that exercise more in detail in a couple of weeks, probably, or maybe next week.
Okay, so we'll submit a picture of ourselves too.
Yes.
Okay.
You try to take a picture of yourself and analyze as well as possible. If there's technical difficulties, I'll talk about it next week, and we'll figure those out as we go along. Good. All right. Any other question before I go to the quiz part? No. Well, good. If something comes up, just shoot it. Speak it out. So what I want you to do is I want you to take out the term list number 1, and I want you to take out a sheet of paper. And I want you to write down, oops, there it is. You can see my skull? No?
We can see it.
Good. So there, and I want you to write these down. I don't want you to speak them out. I want you to tell me for a number 1, what is this whole bone called here that I'm circling on? This whole bone here. What is this called? Write it down, number 1. That's a bone, number 1. So you can look it up on your list. It's on the list. And it's on the skull on the list. This bone. And then number 2, I want you to tell me a landmark. And a landmark, and when I ask you on the second test, I ask you for bones, for landmarks, and for muscles. So bones and muscles, that's clear. Whole bones are the bones. Landmarks are parts of a bone that is a specific portion of it. And so number 2 is a landmark. It's on the frontal bone, and I would like you to tell me what is that landmark called right here between the eyebrows, and write it down as number 2. And then Number 3 is from the back of the head, this entire bone that's creates the back of your head. That's number 3. The back of the head bone. And then number 4, I want you to tell me this, that's the cheekbone. There's a bone that creates the tip of the cheek. What's that bone called? Number 4. Number 4, the cheekbone. So that's number 4, the cheekbone. And number 5, what is the lower jaw bone called? The lower jaw bone. Number 5. Lower jaw bone. Number 5, lower jaw bone. And then number 6 is the upper jaw bone. Not the one that drops down when you eat or talk, but the one where the upper teeth are attached to. That's number 6. What's that bone called? All right, you got it?
Yes.
Now, let's solve the quiz. And so I want all of you to scream into the microphone. I want everybody to say the answer so you speak it out, and that helps remembering it as well. Okay, so just don't worry about speaking over each other on this one. What's number 1?
Frontal bone.
Frontal bone.
Frontal bone. Let me share this again so we just visualize it again. Number 1, frontal bone. What's number 2?
Glabella.
Everybody?
Yeah,
There you
glabella.
go. Good job. Glabella.
Glabella.
You could start that one. That's always on the test. Because it rhymes with my baby girl Isabella's name. And that one is 18 now, so never mind. No more a girl. Number 3, but I'm still using it. Number 3, what's this called?
Occipital bone.
Occipital bone.
Occipital.
Occipital bone. All right. Everybody said it? Good. Number 4.
Zygomatic.
Zygomatic bone.
There you go. Speak it out. Zygomatic bone. Don't be shy. I can't be shy, so you don't get to be shy either. Number 5 is the
Mandible.
mandible. Good work. And what's number 6?
Maxilla.
Maxilla.
There you go, the maxilla. Good.
Oh, maxilla.
Maxilla, there you go.
I got wrong for that.
That's okay. That's why we're doing these quiz practices. So today we just do 6. Next week we have facial muscles on top of these. And I'm going to be a bit more picky about the terms in the skull. So I'm going to go from more broad to further in. So keep studying this topic as much as you can. But, try to enjoy it as well. Was that all right for you guys to do?
Yes.
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 Okay, good. Good. Well, and then I think I am pretty clear with what I need to talk about today. Do you guys have any questions for me before we close out the session?
Did you have a good weekend?
Me? Oh my Lord, I had a fantastic weekend. It was my birthday on Saturday. And so we went to Half Moon Bay. And I didn't do nothing except watch the ocean. So thank you for
That's
asking.
great. That's good.
Oh,
Happy
well,
belated birthday.
thank you.
Yeah, happy
Yeah, no,
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, now they're counting upwards post 50. So, I got my first reading glasses the other day, so watch out. At some point, you'll have to face that yourself. Uh-oh. Yeah, look, as you put them on, they're not that bad looking. They're not. I'm still getting used to it. It's really strange, but you know, I didn't choose them. My partner.
Pairs you buy.
Look at that.
Nice.
Oh, look at that. I can read you guys' name. All right, with that, let me take some finish up roll and then we can close it out today. I have Sarah.
Here.
I have Tanaya.
Here.
I have Nita. Nita, how do you like it? Oh, I have Jordan. I have Jordan, I have Koa, I have Nelia.
Here.
Where's Koa?
Here.
Jordan's here.
Kyla, yeah, speak up real quick so I know you're there. Kyla
I'm
May,
here.
Here.
Caitlin,
Here.
Vannery,
Here.
Brianna.
Jordan's here.
Good, cool, got you. Evan,
Yes, I'm here.
and Brianna, did you get you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Berenice,
Here.
I got Adam,
Here.
I got Alexis. Ooh, they make me dizzy.
Here.
I got Abril,
Here.
and I got Emmanuel.
Here.
And who did I miss? I think we're good.
Did you get Nelia? Sorry.
Yes, I got Nelia.
I have a question.
Yes, I got Nelia.
Still on the postural analysis.
Yes.
Sorry, there are some diagrams there. Are we to mark anything there?
Wait, what?
No, like on the assignments, like the handout. Are we to mark anything on the diagrams?
Yeah, you're supposed to mark on page 2, this down here, according to your picture.
Okay.
You don't really have to mark the picture like with lines that I did here.
Okay.
It helps if you print it out and do that, but you visualize it and basically mark it on this.
Oh, so we won't be submitting our own image. It's just
You're
this, right?
submitting this,
Oh, okay, okay.
a copy of that, and then I think a copy of the last part that we're going through at that point. But we'll do that next week, I think.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys. I think we're all good. Any last questions?
I may have missed this. Our groups, our study groups, how are those established?
Well, I haven't figured that all completely out quite yet, but my goal is to create a space where it's 24 hours open on Zoom. And then you guys in the background connect with each other, but maybe that's not the best way. So if you have any idea how to connect each other, or if I make up some hours and say, hey, these and these hours, who wants to go, check it out, or something like that, help me out.
Thank you.
Can you do that?
Yes.
Good. I can do the leadership, but coming up with it is a little too much for me sometimes. But I can do the coordination in the background. Any last thoughts?
So
Nope.
I guess just yeah, I have a thought or question.
Mhm.
So due this week is, or the end of the week is facial muscles and joints and axial skeleton.
Oh yeah, that's true. Both of those. Mhm.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, no, it fluctuates a little bit, but I try to, the skull's pretty big, so then it's one thing a week, and we also had a holiday. But very often it's two per week.
2 per week. Okay.
Very often, like the appendicular skeleton, I do the one for the whole week because that's a fairly big chapter. And I like muscles and bones, and so I want to give you as much as I can on those topics. And then also lower and upper extremity muscle, that's just one topic per week, I think.
Thank you.
And then the second test is end of March, basically, when we have to be more or less ready for that material. But people do really well in this test. And so because you guys already have done so well in the first test, I'm almost thinking I'm not giving you enough stuff. But I'm sure it's plenty, right?
Yep.
All right. All right, good. Well, if you have any questions, do feel free, shoot me a text. You don't have to worry about disturbing me or anything. If I don't want it, I don't have my phone next to me, and I'll get back to you when I can. But I wish you a wonderful night.
I have a question really quick.
Yes, Caitlin, no worries. Go for it.
So the labeling and coloring exercises, the only two that are due this week are the facial muscles and the axial skeleton ones.
Yes, there is no coloring on joints. There's just a quiz on joints.
So we don't have to do the axial muscles one?
Not yet. I mean, you can, but not until next week.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sure though you do the quizzes, right? You do the quizzes for
Yeah.
the chapters that we do that week. And so the joints only have a quiz. The joints don't have the labeling thing.
Okay, got it. Because you showed one of the spine that had the spine on it. So I just wasn't sure if that one was due this week too.
Well, that's the axial skeleton, right?
I didn't have on mine, it doesn't have like the side view of like how the spine curves.
Oh, and I asked that to label that?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Maybe I'm being a little goofy. Hold on. Let me double check that before we close out to answer that. No, it don't. Yeah, don't worry about that. Well, but wait, I'm not asking for the curve. Am I asking for the curve?
No, I'm just saying because the one that you had showed on the video today, like in here today, like just a little bit ago, it had like a side view of a skeleton or a.
That one was the posture analysis, not.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, that's not a labeling. That's a health kit exercise.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's just analyzing your own posture to sort of like, feel like, oh, maybe we could sit a little different. It might help us.
Got it.
I mean, that's what that is. That is not anything for the lab test.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that I did the right thing.
Oh, yes, please make sure you ask those questions because I can only guess how to make it clear.
Thank you so much.
And learn from that, All right. Any last thoughts? Are you guys good? I'll take that for a good.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you all. Thanks for being part of the class.
Well, thank you.
All right. Good.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye,
Dr.
Professor.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Reach out. Have a good week.
You too.
You
Call me
too.
if you need anything. Bye-bye.